Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. Mia Gradney here in the KHOU 11 newsroom with Houston Police Chief Art Acevedo, who informs me he is out on patrol. Good evening to you, Chief.
Hi, how y'all doing?
We're doing, Chief. You know, just like every other Houstonian, we are hanging in there, wanting to keep people informed. We appreciate you and all of the officers for what you're doing right now and just how hard you are working.
Well, our office is nothing new for us. It's not our first rodeo as a police department or our friends at the fire department or any of our police departments here, not just in Houston, but in the state of Texas and across our country. It's what we sign up for.
24 hours into the stay home, work safe order, are Houstonians complying?
I would say that based on the level of traffic that we're seeing in terms of driving around downtown and the freeways, a lot of people are taking it seriously. They're being responsible. They realize that the sooner that we can flatten the curve, the sooner we can resume our normal lives. And so far, so good. Really proud of the people of Houston.
That's good. Chief, I know here in our newsroom we were inundated with messages, emails, texts today about essential businesses and people either not understanding if their business is an essential business or not, or wanting to report a business. Curious to know if the Houston Police Department encountered any of these types of calls today.
We have not really been getting many calls from the public as it relates to the order. I think it's early on. It just took effect less than 24 hours ago, and so far we have not had an onslaught. But as it relates to restaurants and bars, the fire department's taking the lead in that regard. And so I've talked to Sam Pena, our chief, and quite frankly, our posture has been, whether it's restaurants or people, that we want to educate the public. We want to explain to them what the rules are and then try to get voluntary compliance. And so far, I think that's been working.
Yeah, and those rules, once again, are people are supposed to be staying at home unless they are a worker with an essential business. They are allowed to run errands such as going to the grocery store, caring for another loved one as well. And also they can go and still get takeout and delivery, not dine in. Just some of the reminders there, right, Chief?
Right. And just like, it's they can go visit another home if they need to go if it's essential to take care of a family or a friend or deliver food or feed pets. So it's important. I'm about to actually put out our enforcement guidelines as soon as I'm done here. We will attach those enforcement guidelines, the definitions, the rules, because we want to be transparent. And at the end of the day, we want to educate the community so we can all do it right and get this behind us as soon as we can.
Well, we're glad we can give you a platform to do so tonight, Chief. We already have thousands of Houstonians tuning in with us here on Facebook Live. Chief, some questions for you out of concern for our first responders and your officers. How many officers have you had test positive for coronavirus, if any?
We've had 3 officers test for positive so far, and they've all been frontline officers. We've got 6 who just got an emergency tone, who came back negative, and we still have upwards of 26, 27 who are awaiting results. So luckily, the 3 that came back positive are doing well. They're resting comfortably. They're at home and in isolation, and thank God that their bodies are handling it okay, contrary to what's been happening to some other folks around the world.
Right. Do you have any officers who are also self-isolating or quarantining? Have any of them traveled to New York and so forth that you're aware of?
We've had a total of about 190 employees, both officers and support staff, that are in self-quarantine because of travel. Those folks, we started that early on, and so fortunately the time frame for the isolation is dropping off, and they're all starting to come back to work every day. We have more and more coming back to work. So from a height of about 190, that's going down daily.
All right. All this, though, Chief, amid an officer shortage, do you have enough officers to respond to service calls?
Yeah, it's interesting that what I love about the people of Houston is the fact that crime is actually in our call volume in terms of people calling for service has really flat. It's been pretty quiet considering the fact that you'd think that people might be uptight. The one area that we're worried about though is domestic violence. We have seen an uptick in domestic violence, so it's important for people to be aware of that and to give each other space. This distancing at home sometimes might mean that you might want to spend some time in a different room in a different end of the house. Go for a walk. But if you start getting yourself feeling uptight, the best thing you can do is give yourself some space.
Right. Chief, want to get to some viewer questions since we have thousands of people tuning in right now. Bill Patrick asks, what are the officers doing to help prevent getting sick since they deal with so many people? You guys are in the people business. You said yourself right now you're out on patrol. What are the officers doing to help prevent getting sick?
Well, we've I'm in a police car right now, so we've given them the stuff to actually hold on 1 second, guys. I think that's dispatch.
No problem.
Hi, guys. Yeah, yeah, I realized that. I already turned it off. Thanks. All right, thanks. Bye. So anyway, I forgot the question now that you asked.
Yes, sir, no problem. You were dealing with official business, but
so we actually
Bill
have
Patrick asked about
we have
what are officers doing
disinfectant
preventing to get sick.
Right. We've got the disinfectant so they can spray their police cars in between calls. We've got PPEs for them. We've got masks, goggles, everything they need. The problem is they're in real short supply, and we're quickly running out. Not just us, but frontline personnel with fire, EMS. You've got not just here in Houston, but across the country. We've been in a lot of calls into the Department of Homeland Security and to our federal partners, and hopefully that the supplies will pick up in the upcoming days.
Right. Another question we're getting, Chief, this is from Eric Brockway. He asked, will we get pulled over just going from place to place? This is in regard to the stay home, work safe order.
It depends on the circumstances. I think that, quite frankly, the officers are not going to be going out trying to just pull over people in large numbers. It's a tool. We're going to be, again, when you look at our enforcement guidelines we put out, we're going to be looking at the spirit of the order, which is when people are out flaunting it, gathering in large numbers, restaurants not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or businesses, that's probably more what you need to worry about. If you're out in the middle of the night, chances are you're not out shopping or doing one of the things. So there's a higher likelihood that you may get stopped in the middle of the night than during the workday. But at the end of the day, just remember that if the officer stops you, just realize they're just trying to do a job. Just be polite, answer the questions, and we can all go on with our day.
Chief, for anyone who is an essential service worker and they are, driving from home to their workplace or vice versa in the middle of the night, in addition to being courteous, is there anything they need to have with them, like a work ID badge if they have it, or a business card to help show to the officer and explain to him or her that they are too an essential service worker?
Yeah, that's it. That's always a good idea. I mean, a lot of the industries, a lot of the workers are from pool people, gardening people. A lot of the essential workers are easy to identify, restaurant workers and things of that nature. So unless you're in a vehicle or in uniforms that are readily identifiable as part of the essential services, it's a good idea to have your work ID, which a lot of works have them, or have your business card or contact information for your work so they can call and confirm if it gets to that point.
Yeah, Chief, working in the media, considered an essential services worker here. My business card and badge in the cup holder make it easy for myself and for an officer if I was to potentially get pulled over. So something we want to recommend there. Thank you for answering that. You answered about lawn care guys. David Medrano had asked that question. We appreciate you getting to that. Chief, now for some other concerns amidst the coronavirus pandemic and its impact on us here locally. You have been vocal in the past about the release of felons from our jails. You tweeted about the release of a murder suspect released due to the coronavirus. You're calling the judge out. Are you fearful there will be more releases like this? And what are your concerns here?
Well, look, I think common sense goes a long way in life. People that are in jail, they're there for a reason. They don't follow the rules that society has set out for them, that a civilized society has set out for them. And so the notion that we should just release people, a person that killed somebody, murdered somebody, charged with murder because they're afraid of the coronavirus, I'm not too sure that person's going to be following social distancing or shelter at home orders. The bottom line is that while we do support, and we've taken steps to forego jail trips for low-level, non-violent misdemeanors, a person that poses a threat to society that is violent should not be released. And trust me when I say we are going to continue to pay attention to that, and we're not going to let it happen in a vacuum. And when we see it, we're going to say it, because people in this community need to know what's going on with some of our judges here in Harris County, and quite frankly, in a lot of places across the country.
Yeah, this is something you've been vocal on well before our coronavirus pandemic. Challenging ways in more ways than one, Chief. Crime still continues. That's the thing. You said, you've had less calls, but we have seen some violent crimes this week. So we don't want people to think that officers are solely just working on enforcing the stay home order. There is still crime to be addressed here in the city of Houston on a day-to-day basis.
I mean, yeah, there certainly is. And I'm really grateful to the Houston Fire Department and to Chief Pena, who at the direction of the mayor and with their complete support are taking the lead and enforcing the restaurant and the bar ordinance order that the mayor put out, because that frees up the police officers to chase the bad guys. I mean, every night our officers are engaged in foot pursuits. I just myself encountered a victim of an aggravated assault that flagged me down. Sure enough, told me that the suspect was in the bayou off of Studewood, and went down there, found him, and arrested him. So the work does not end. It continues, and that's why it's important that the community do their part by making sure we're making good choices at home, making sure we're making good choices on the road, and making sure we're making good choices in terms of when we call the police, and only call the police when absolutely necessary. The other thing what we're doing to keep our officers safe and keep the community safe is with the lower level of criminal offense reports that people want to file. Even sometimes people don't want to do it with teleserve because they want to talk to an officer. So we're transferring a lot of those and taking those reports with officers at patrol desks, not just at the communication center, but across the city. And so that's helping to ensure that we keep our officers focusing on the overall safety of the people of Houston.
More questions for you real quick before we let you go here, Chief. We just have so many people joining us and so many people with questions tonight. A lot of people still confused about what is essential, what is not essential. Hoping you can clear that up for folks and address that. Is again, Chief Rosa Hernandez Cruz asked, Home Depot and Lowe's are considered essential but have subcontracts out there building their sheds and play sets. Are they obligated and considered essential? Chief, from your understanding, again, can you run down for our viewers what is deemed an essential service, essential business?
What's interesting is that the list is long. And so Uber drivers, TNC drivers, delivery drivers, lawn care people, pool people, housekeepers. It is such a long list that what I would ask your viewers to do, I think we'll be able to put out here in the next 10, 15 minutes. We're going to tweet it out, not just our enforcement guidance to our officers, but also the actual order. Just read it, read the order. It lists everything, and I think it's when people see it, it's going to be pretty clear. If they have any questions after that, please post them to our Facebook page and we'll start trying to answer those questions in the upcoming day.
All right, Chief, real quick. Anadele Sanchez asked, how do we report large gatherings? I've seen churches and house parties.
Yeah, churches and house parties are not allowed. And that was something that was just added as well with the county judge's order. Just call 311, the non-emergency number, and if it's really out of hand, don't hesitate to call 911. We'll come out and we'll put a stop to it.
All right. Linda Werleen Cervantes asks, what about nannies for essential and non-essential workers? Is a nanny, a child care worker, considered essential, Chief?
That would be considered essential, essential. And like I said, if you go to our Twitter here in a minute, hopefully in about 10-15 minutes, we're going to give you a nice list. And if there are any questions, post them on our Facebook, and we'll start trying to answer them to the best of our ability.
Chief, lastly, before we let you go, what can Houstonians do to further support our first responders right now?
I think they can do what we do best, which is be a good neighbor, be a thoughtful neighbor, be a good family member, take care of one another. And quite frankly, the sooner that we flatten this curve that we're trying to flatten across the globe, the sooner we can restore our lives. And so let's be good to one another, kind to one another. And, you know, I always like to tell people, nothing says more about a person's character than adversity. This city showed during Harvey that we've got tremendous character. We're a wonderful city. We're a beacon of hope. And I think that we're going to shine some light and an example for the rest of the country to follow. That's what we did in Harvey, and that's what we're going to do today.
Chief Art Acevedo, one of our city leaders, doing a fine job right now amidst the coronavirus pandemic. We thank you for joining us while out on patrol. We're going to let you get back to those streets. Thank you so much, Chief.
Be safe.